So up to now, what we've done is mostly the good citizenship exercises, such as, lifting the feet, tying, personal space, giving to the lead line and pressure, and those exercises. And also proper leading is one, too. You don't have to do the proper leading, but it makes it look a lot better. And those are exercises that don't really impact on the ground training for under saddle work. They're just good citizenship exercises and that horses should have. I mean, if you're going to go to a barn or anywhere around, you can see that your horse is well trained, well maintained. It doesn't push into your face and all that, come into you, and all of a sudden, it's all around you instead of staying where it needs to be. So today we're going to introduce one last good citizenship exercise, and it's proper leading. And like I said, you can properly lead a horse, the horse 10 feet behind you. What we want to do is have the horse up with his neck up against your shoulder. And we'll do that later on. But I want to go through these exercises pretty quick because I know, nobody wants to watch a video of the same thing forever. So I'm going to go through the exercises very quickly, but I'm not going to do the good citizenship exercises except the personal space. But I'll do those really quickly. Then what I want to do is introduce the backup and proper lead, and then some vertical training, which is starting the proper ground training for under saddle work with the vertical flexion. So we'll go ahead and proceed real quick. And like I said, I don't want to take up a lot of your time. So I'm going to go through them quickly, but I'm going to work with Charlotte more on these after the video is done. But what you're seeing is kind of the beginning of something like she's never done, proper leading. She's never done vertical flexion. So those kinds of things are good because you're going to see how a horse reacts who's never done it. And then we'll improve from that. And then, like I said earlier, I review every exercise at every session. And maybe quickly, maybe not so quickly, depending on what she's weak on. And I'll work on those a little bit more, and then I'll introduce something. So right now, we're looking at, remember, the 2 eyes on me. So I'm going to back her up a little bit here, and I want 2 eyes on me. So that's the beginning of the exercise that says you're paying attention to me. And so like a kindergarten kid, looking out the window doesn't learn a lot. But if they're focused in on the teacher, they learn a little bit more. So right now, I'm going to bump the head a little bit because I want the horse looking at me. And when I turn, I want the horse turning with me. So she's kind of focused on me now. So at this point in time, I'm going to do the personal space. I'm going to ask her to come in with a little pressure. Slide as necessary, as required. When she comes, we're going to take that pressure away. As she comes, the pressure stays off. If she doesn't come, a little more pressure, and then go through the phases every time. Okay, the phases here in the backup, not the backup, but the personal space is stay out of my hula hoop. I don't want her moving that way. I want her moving this way and staying with me. And I'll teach you that. I haven't taught her pressure on the hindquarters yet to face me. When she does that, I'll be able to just bend my body and get her to straighten up. So I'm going to do just a little bit because I want her to basically go straight and relieve the pressure. We've gone through that. I'll ask for several steps this time. I do want her to stay straight. So I'm going to back her up. Straight, straight. Put a little pressure on that hindquarter. And she's doing better and better on that finger. So we'll improve on that after the video. But I want to give you the idea of what to do. Remember the phases. Okay? If you don't want to use the finger, that's fine. Start with the wiggle of the rope. Slight wiggle of the rope. Then increase it if necessary. I like to use verbals. Verbals usually come first. So I'll say back up and then do it. So I'll say back up. And so like with Mandy, if I say back up, she backs up without any pressure. Okay, that is the personal space. 2 eyes on me. We start with the exercises of personal space. Then I'm going to go to desensitization. Remember, what you do to the left, you do to the right. Desensitization is just your intent. You're relaxing your body, and you're looking for signs of pressure for about 30 seconds. If they don't move, or they relax, show a sign of relaxation, you stop. If they move, you move with them. You do not stop the pressure until they stop, and then after that, you're going to go ahead and release the pressure when they have that relaxation. Okay, just to save time, we do stick and string after that. And I'll do just a few tosses on the stick and string. And if it's not working and they freaking out, then you need to go to the Donkey Kong method, which means start over. Go back to the lead line, go back to being away from them rather than close to them. So right here, I'm going to just touch her, and I want her to stand still. Remember, she does pretty good at this, but I want her attention on me too. So I'm just doing the legs, doing the withers area, the hindquarter area, doing the butt, the back. What you do to the left, you do to the right. So you do the same thing. She's not bad. If she's moving, what she's doing now, I do not stop. I keep going. And that's good that she's moving, because now you can see what's happening. So she stopped. We'll look for 20 seconds for a sign of relaxation. Look in the lips. That's a sign of relaxation, so I'll stop. Okay, today I want to move it up a little bit. And like I said, I'll do more of this with her later on. With the stick, with the other things. Today I want to introduce her to the tarp. A little more challenging for her. When I start with the tarp, I ball it up and then introduce them to her like we were talking about. Approach and retreat. Approach and retreat. It's the same process and the same philosophy. Once I do a couple of approach and retreats, I'll take it out here and I'll kind of wiggle it. If she moves, guess what? We don't stop. When she stops and relaxes, we'll stop. Getting her to realize that the only way this pressure is going to go away is if you stop and you relax. I'll bring it back up. If she moves, we're going with it. If she stops, I take it away. Now I'm going to bring it up to her side. Then I'm just going to rub her a little bit with it and then take it away. If she moves, however, she doesn't get it taken away. So now I'm going to rub it all over her, tap it with her, and now I'm going to increase the size of this little beast a little bit and do the same thing. So now I got a little tail to this tarp. Now I'm going to whip it up and down. She's moving, so I don't give her a release. Make more noise. It's a little wet out here. I'm going to bring her up this way. Up, because it's wet. I don't want to get all muddy. So again, oh man, I'm going to get all muddy. Anyway, it's getting bigger and bigger. She's kind of a little apprehensive, but she needs to learn that it goes away when she stops and relaxes. Probably getting a little water on her too. But her head's high, her eyes are a little big. She's not totally relaxed, but if she stands still for 20 seconds or so, I'm going to release her. And then I'm going to say, good girl, give a little rub. And then I'll do it on the other side. Remember, new side, new horse. I'll do it this side because you can see it a little bit better on this side. And I'm going to fold it back up to small and do the same thing. Intro, take away, bring her up here so you can see. There we go. So I'm going to rub her with it again. And then let the tail come out a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to start to do this with her. If she moves, I don't take it away. Now what are we doing this for? We're doing this, and we're trying to introduce her to as many things as we can. You can't introduce her to everything. And what we're trying to do is teach you that when you feel a little pressure or you feel a little frightened, stop, think about it, shift to your left side of your brain, stop to think about it, rather than reacting and running, which is what they want to do. So we're teaching them, if you spook in place. So you don't go anywhere, you don't bolt, you don't rear, you don't buck. And it's good for them. You can't take a spook out of a horse. They're wired that way. And that's how they survived all these years. So you can't take it out, but you can teach them not to overreact. To just basically don't run away from this thing. Just look at it, figure it out with your left side of your brain, and then relax. Because when you relax, it goes away. So that's a lesson they need to learn. I'm going to do this step a little earlier than I should, but I don't want to make the video too big, because the intent for this video, whether you want to look at it or not, is if you're going to take a horse and start it, or even with the horses you have now, it's to basically, I don't know if it's educate, because I learn every day, but it's to give you an idea of what we should be doing, how we should be doing it. Okay, so now I'm going to bring her up. She's going to smell this thing and figure out what it is. Loosen the line, let her smell. It's a tarp. You want her to go over it, let her smell it and figure it out, and then ask her to come over. When she comes over like that, go ahead and give her some love. That was good. So once she's done this a few times, I'm going to increase the size of the tarp. Come on, girl. Good girl. That's a good girl. You can see she's not going to be overly reactive to things. Although I say that, but Mandy, I can put a leaf blower to Mandy. She'll stand still. But I can also walk on her in the field, and she spooks at a bird coming out. Okay, so I'm going to increase the size if I can here. There we go. That's a little bigger. And eventually what I want to do is get the full size. And with the wind here, it's going to be moving. So that's even better. So I'm going to ask her to come forward here. Come on, girl. And let her smell it again if she wants to. She's checking it out. She wants to know, will this support my weight, or what is it? And then we're going to have her come this way. And she did very, very good. Okay, that's enough on a desensitization. Like I said, use your imagination. I used a leaf blower, and that was pretty cool too, on Mandy. And, you start a little bit ways out, bring it in closer, increase the velocity to the point where you are really hauling off on that thing. And when I say that, I'm talking about like the flag, let's say. Let me get away from the camera a little bit. So I got the flag. I'm out here with the flag. Loose line. I'm going to increase it. Looking for relaxation. Maybe licking the lips. Blinking the eyes. Lowering the head. A sigh. Just give me a sigh. Cocking the leg. She did good. I caught her by surprise. She wasn't paying attention. Then she realized, oh, okay, it's just Ray. So I'm going to do this. Again, I want her to stand still. She doesn't stand still. Doesn't go away. She's weaker on this than any other area. Stand still. I take it away. And I took it away before she totally relaxed, but I did that because I want her to understand that it goes away when you stop. But I'm really looking forward, I'll do this as I continue, the relaxation, because I want her to relax. Okay. That's enough of that. What I want to teach you today as an introduction is backing up. I do backups usually two ways. Direct pressure, indirect pressure. There's some trainers out there that, have like 4 ways of backing them up. The whacking the lead line and wiggle walk with the stick and all that. I like 2 things when I do this. One is I want to be able to give them pressure phases, lightest to what's required. 1 or 2 steps. Then build from there. 3 steps, 4 steps to the point where you just barely touch this line and they back up. So I'm going to go very light, a little more. I'll say back because I like verbals. Back, back, more pressure. She takes a step, I release it. Okay? Back, back, back. Lightest to what's required. Back. Good girl. And, you can put your hand like this. If she doesn't go after some considerable pressure, then you can tap her on the chest. Back. Good girl. I'll do it again. Light. Back. Yeah. That was like level 2 on the phases. Back. Level 1. Level 2. back, level 3, okay, a couple steps, now I'll ask for 2 or 3 steps, back, back, 2 or 3 steps, okay, release, release, remember the pressure is the motivator, the release of pressure is the teacher. She'll get better and better at that. Okay, do it again. And I'll do a lot of this off camera. I just don't want to basically waste your time with the video. But again, you know, at the buckle or at the base of the halter, a little bit of pressure, a little bit of pressure, more pressure, more pressure, more pressure. If they want to throw their head, let them throw their head. Pressure stays on, release. That step. Okay, and it may take one horse a lot longer than the other. Light pressure. Repeat it the whole time so they realize that if they go in light pressure, they don't get the heavy pressure. So that's the backup. And repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. And it takes time. You know, training a horse takes time. And sometimes I'll work with a horse and rectify a problem, but if it's not continued, they can easily revert back. Excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold. Okay, the other thing I like to do here is, with a stick and string or a flag, I want them to move out of my space, just like personal space. But I want them to know that I'm the lead mare here. So when I go into them, they back up or they get the heck out of my way. So I'm going to go from here through her, basically. So if she doesn't move, I'm going to be doing this as I go towards her. If she doesn't move, she's going to get the stick. But she's going to get the stick because she's not moving, not because I'm hitting her. I'm just coming in like this, and I say, move the hell out of my way. And I do. She can be overreactive a little bit. I mean, she's great with desensitization, also she's a little overreactive. And we can change that too. So I'll do that again. I won't use as much energy this time, but I want her out of my way. So I'm going to do this with energy and go right through her, and she's got to get out of my way. So I'm doing a straight line right into her. And what's that teaching her is that I'm the lead mare. When I come into your space, you better get out of the way. If you look at them in the field, and this is called natural horsemanship, and they've learned most of this by observing the herd, the pecking order. And so, if I'm the lead mare, excuse me, I'm number 1. She may be number 2, number 3, it doesn't matter to me. But they each know where they are in that herd. And they know, and you'll see them in the field playing with each other, and every day they challenge each other. Horse 5 may challenge horse 6. Horse 10 is not going to challenge horse 1 or 2. It just ain't going to happen out there. If you observe, you'll see that. And so when horses, you know, are biting each other, that's, I hate to say it, but it's natural, horse, whatever the word is. It's natural for the horses. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to walk right into her, and I want her to move out of my space. Bring up my energy. I want her out of my space. Okay. And the other backups, come on, a little lazy on coming to me. In the field, she was very lazy. Okay, the other backup is, you know, that kind of is the march, wiggle march, whatever they call it, where you basically go into them, and if they get in your way, you hit the chest. Teaches them to back up. Okay, and now when you do some of these exercises, they have a tendency to think about it. Okay, I'm going to back up. I'm not going forward or whatever. Loose line coming forward. Okay, we'll move on to proper leading. Now, proper leading, if you don't know a horse, you don't know what kind of horse it is, and you're leading them, and they're halter trained, but you're not sure how they react, then the recommendation is to do it way back here. If they do something stupid, they're way back there, they're not going to hurt you that much. You know, and even you can go back and say, you know, get out of my space, don't get that close, and then move on. Proper leading, and some people may disagree. I mean, horse trainers and horse people disagree with everything, you know, whether you blanket, don't blanket. whether you use pressure release or you don't use pressure release, all kinds of different techniques to train. When you see somebody with a horse that does a proper lead, you know the horse has been worked with. It's always done on a loose line. Initially, you may not be, but eventually it's a loose line. And what you're trying to do is your horse's neck needs to be at your shoulder. I'm going to use a shorter lead line. Use an 8-foot lead line. This is more controllable. So, not as much line. I have to hold my hand. Okay, so a proper lead is this right here. About a foot and a half away from my shoulder. Horse's neck onto my shoulder on his neck. No matter what I do on a loose line, that horse should stay with me. If I walk off, he walks off. If I back up, she backs up. If I go left or right, they're with me. It takes a little bit of consistency, a little bit of training, pressure and release, so they understand where you want them. And the geospatial orientation for horses is fantastic. So what I normally do is I have a very short handle, about 6 inches from the buckle, which gives me a little bit, when I'm teaching them, I can move them off and I can stop to tell them to stop or to back up. So what I do is basically, with my hand, I'll put it in the front for the horse to walk on. And I'll say walk on or up. I like to use up sometimes. But it should be the same way all the time. So I'll use up. That's what I use. And for her to walk off. And when I stop, my leg stops, she should stop. If she doesn't, I'll go ahead and pull back on this lead line. And then to back up, I'll over-exaggerate. I'll put pressure in front of her. And then when she takes a step, I'll stop and rub her neck and say, it's a good answer. This takes a little bit of while for them to catch on to it. So, with her, she doesn't know that much about it, or anything about it, I guess. I did do it for about 5 minutes today. And so this becomes a little bit of a pressure behind the driving line, which is at the base of the neck. Anything behind the driving line moves her forward. Anything in front of the driving line moves her back. Anyway, so I'm going to walk on. I'm going to say, walk on. She doesn't walk, a little bit of pressure. And then when she's right along my neck, along my shoulder, I am going to loosen the line up because I want her to do this on a loose line. And then when I stop, I'm going to say, whoa, a little bit of pressure. And then I'm going to love on her by giving her a little rub and say that's a good answer. I'll do it again. Walk on. I won't use the stick unless I need to. Why? Phases. Remember when you're teaching a horse what phases? So I'm going to come around, and when I turn to the inside like that, she's got to come around a little bit longer than she has to when you turn to the inside. To the outside. So it takes a little bit longer. She should move a little bit faster, but that comes in time. Again, I'm going to point. As she comes, I don't need stick. Stick is a reinforcement. So the lightest pressure I can give her to move off is basically just point. I'm going to move into her. Now, when I move into her, I want that neck to stay on my shoulder, and I want her to remain about a foot away from me. I'll come towards the camera. When I stop, she stops. And I give her some love, and I say, good answer. Now, to reverse, I want her to know that when I go backwards, or forwards, or left or right, she's to stay in this relative position. So to back up, I'm going to exaggerate initially by moving my feet up and down, and then asking her to back up with a little bit of tug. If she doesn't, then I'm going to put some pressure in the front of her driving line, probably right in the front of her nose here, with my stick and string until she takes that one step. Remember, a little bit at a time. Reward the try. So I'm going to back up, back, a little pressure. She takes that step, I release the pressure. Remember, the release of pressure is the teacher. The pressure is the motivator. So I'm going to motivate her. A little bit of pressure on the lead line. She takes the step. I release the pressure. Pressure comes on slow, comes off quickly. Phases. 2 steps, 3 steps. Good girl. And praise her. So I'll go through the process again. Stick the string. If I need it, I use it for additional pressure in the phases. So phase 1, walk on, and you walk. And the horse walks with you. When I stop, I'm going to say, whoa. You don't have to use the word whoa if you don't want to use verbals. But when I stop, I'm going to say, whoa. My feet stop. She should stop. I didn't have to use any other additional pressure. She stopped. So she did a great job. So now I'm going to ask her to walk on. She does. Remember, if she doesn't, then I'm going to bring up the stick. And I'll do phases with the stick as well. I'll just bring it up off the ground, and then I'll bring it towards her hindquarters, and then I'll tap her if she doesn't move. And this is happens pretty quick. Because remember the 5-second timing rule. Horses associate 5 seconds. A little bit behind. I'm going to bring up the stick, ask her to come forward. I'm going to turn into her now. If she tries to crowd me, I'm going to use the stick, and I'll do a 360 here. I'm going to use the stick to keep her head away. To let her know that you keep the same relative position. Don't crowd me. Loose line. Loose line is imperative. And the only reason I'm not using a loose line initially is because I want her to come off that pressure to teach her. But eventually, if I just do this on a loose line, I walk off, she should walk off. Go back again. Go back. Couple of steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, loose line. Good girl. And I'm going to love on her. Okay, that's proper leading. When you first do it, I usually do it up against the fence line. The reason I do it up against the fence line, up. The reason I do it up against the fence line is because when you back up, frequently the back end goes out. Back. Frequently when I back up, the back end will go out. If you do it up against the fence line initially, they have difficulty getting that butt out because the fence is there. Okay, that is proper leading. And all of these good citizenship type exercises, which this is done on a daily basis. I'm not going to do them anymore on the videos. You can improve upon them, get better at them, be consistent. Do it every time you get your horse out of the field and you bring it back. In between, you're going to be doing, pressure and release, proper leading, lifting the feet. So you're doing this all the time. They get better and better and better. So I'm not going to do that anymore. What I'm going to concentrate now on the future is groundwork that's going to prepare them for the saddle and prepare them to ride, their first ride. So we'll be doing that right now with an exercise. And again, when we're off video, I'm going to be working her in all these areas a lot more. So you should see improvements. But I'm not going to introduce anything except on a video. So the first time she does, say, hindquarter control, the first time she does it, I'll make a video because you need to see what a horse does wrong and how to correct it. So I'm going to put this down, and now we're talking about vertical flexion. That's the head come down. When the head is down, endorphins are being released. When the head is up, adrenaline is being released. Adrenaline means I'm ready to run. Flight and fright. I'm ready for flight. When the head is down and they're eating and all that, endorphins are released, which is a relaxant. So lots of times horses get all crazy and upset. People say, just bring the head down. Train them to bring the head down to relax. Anyway, that's one of the purposes of relaxation. Another one is it teaches them a little bit that when you get on the saddle, you can bring the head down. We're not talking collection. We're talking head step. Bring their head down. The other thing is bridling. You got a tall horse, like Mandy's huge. Other horses are huge. Even if they're short, they should bridle properly. Lots of people get in front and they take that bridle and put it on them, and the head goes up and they're, 10 feet in the air, and you're trying to get the bridle. We'll do that a little bit later on. But right now, I just want to do vertical flexion. Vertical flexion. So, vertical flexion I like to do two ways. One is, again, pressure here, and then I increase pressure in phases. Remember phases, 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 and timing. Timing and phases, consistency, persistency, repetition. It takes time to train a horse. If you don't want to take the time to train a horse, then don't worry about the training. Light pressure, heavier pressure. I'm looking for just a little drop. Hold it, okay. More pressure. She dropped a little bit. I'll give her that. I'll come in a little bit closer. I'll do it this way. So what I'm looking for is a drop in the head. The head drops, release. Okay, phases. Remember? Phase one, she dropped. Okay, she dropped. So if she drops on phase one, there's phase two. Phase one, phase one, phase one. She's trying to lick me. Phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four. I'm going to hold phase four, phase four, phase four. Just looking for a little drop. There it is. Release. 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 Phase one. Release. A little bit. You're looking for a little bit at a time here. So if she gives me a little bit, I'm going to teach her. A little bit. Phase one. Phase one, phase two. And it'd be nice if you can get her all the way down. But this is the first time she's done this, so we're trying to see what she's doing. Good girl. I'm going to stop right there because that was perfect. Not perfect, but she did real, real well. Good girl. But you're looking for a little bit at a time, okay? So when you first do it, phase is one. If she drops her head on phase one, release and say, good girl. If she doesn't, then you're going to increase those phases as required to get this much. Once I teach her and she knows this, then I'm going to tell, demand. So when she knows this real good, I'm going to come up and ask her to do it. If she doesn't, I'm going to tell her to do it. Then I'm going to demand. See how she's lowering her head there? Good. Vertical flexion. Preparation. Okay. Between the ears is a bony section, and then on each side a little bit of a fleshy section. It's called a pole. Okay. We're going to lower their head by the pole. We're going to teach them to lower their head for reining and bridling, especially bridling, because we want to bridle our horse like this with the head down a little bit towards us, and we're going to bridle them that way. We'll do that down the road. This first step is just training them to get the head down when requested. So I'm going to hold the halter like this with about a 15-degree turn inside. I'm going to switch my hips, so if she decides to throw her head this way, I don't want that 50-pound head smacking me in the face. So I'm going to have my hip here first. I'm going to have it about 15 degrees, and I'm going to come up here and love on her. And my fingers are going to be on her pole on each side in between the ears. And I'm going to use a pinching effect. So I'm going to go, whenever I work on a body and I'm using phases, I use hair, skin, muscle, bone. That's my phases. Okay? Hair, skin, muscle, bone. When you get the bone, you're holding it until you get what? A little bit of movement. A little bit, because we're only asking for a little bit when we're teaching something to a horse. Once they know it, ask till the minute. So it's the first time I've really done this with her. So 15 degrees. Relax her a little bit. Yeah, 15 degrees. I'm going to hold the halter because I want it to be about 15 degrees in. I'm going to shift my hip because I don't want to get smacked in the face. I'm going to go here, skin. If she dropped it, and I'm not sure she intentionally dropped it there, or it was just a mistake or an accident. She's smart, though. This girl's smart. So here, skin. She went down on skin. So whenever she goes down on whatever phase, release. Okay? Even if it's a quarter of an inch, and then build from there. So here, skin, muscle. Okay, she went down, release. And release immediately. Slow to come on with the pressure, quick to release it. Here, skin. She dropped her head. Okay, we'll bring her back up because I want her to stay where I put her. Again, here, skin, muscle, bone. Good girl. And then rub her all over, because what you want eventually is her to drop that head, come back up, hold the pressure. I'm at phase 4, hold the pressure. If she dropped, I release. Okay, even if it wasn't as much as it was before, she was down here before, that was just a little bit. But I wanted to understand that you don't have an option. You can drop your head when I just put my hands like this, or you can drop my head at level 4 when I go bone. It's your option, but you will do it. You know, so if they throw their head high in the air, you stay with them. Okay? So it's here, skin, muscle, 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 bone. Okay? Now, come here. Here, here, skin. Okay, good girl. Back up here. So I don't know if I get closer. See, I'd probably get you out of the camera. I don't know. Okay, one more time. Here, skin, drop. Pay attention. Somebody coming up? No. Good girl. She did a great job there. That was on phase 1. That was here. So here, skin, muscle, muscle. Okay? The more you do this, you're going to find out that they're going to be more and more responsive. And then they'll start putting their head down, all the way down. Let's see how far I can get her down. Here, skin, skin, no, skin, skin. Okay, skin. Okay, she's coming back up. I'm going to hold it. No, okay, she goes back down, release it. Here, skin, good girl. You can get it far down. The more you do that, and release it immediately when she puts it down, within a couple of sessions, you'll be putting your hand like this, flat on the top of her pole, and she'll just drop her head. And when she does that, you'll love on her, obviously. And so when we bridle her, you'll be coming up to the horse, and you'll be putting your hands up here, just barely touching her, and she'll lower her head, and she'll keep it there. You're training her to keep it there. You bring the bridle on, she takes the bit, put it over her ears, and off you go. It's a good way of bridling them, especially tall horses. I think for today, that's about it. I hope it wasn't too long. It gives you a good introduction of what to do. And like I said, if it's primarily for, if you're going to do this colt starting thing, the good citizenship exercises are not that necessary for colt starting, but it gives them that good foundation. Because you see a lot of horses sometimes that have been riding for years, they don't lift their feet, or they don't give the pressure, they don't lead properly. And so these are the basics I think the good citizenship horses need before they even ride. And a lot of the Spring Valley Farm horses are great at it because, they've been handled a lot throughout their life. So just, and it's good for your horse if you've been riding for 5 years, if they don't have these, skills to teach them. And if you're not interested, that's fine too. But I hope you all have a good day, and I hope this helped a little bit, and I'm going to continue to work with Charlotte. Okay, I'm back. I said it was over. I want to take 2 or 3 minutes just to bring up another thing that's a good citizenship thing to do, and that's teaching them with spray or clippers to basically take it. And then also, Paul, this is the same exercise you do for watering if you want to give them a shampoo or whatever. But lots of horses are afraid of spray, and with the wind, it's probably going to spray right back in my face. But what you do, you're introducing anything, like we said earlier, you approach and you retreat. You approach and you retreat. You approach and you retreat. And you rub it on if you want. And remember, from doing the desensitization stuff, they've gotten pretty used to this, tapping stuff on them. And then I'm going to take the bottle, and I'm not going to try to spray them. I'm going to, because there's a sound associated with it. So I'm going to spray out here. And they can see it, and they can hear it, and they can smell it. Horse's sense of smell is like 1,000 times, not 1,000, but, you know, 300 or 400 times our sense of smell. Oh, bringing it in closer. I might do it on the other side because I'll get sprayed with this wind. Bring it in closer. Rub her with it. And then spray her with it. If she moves, guess what we're going to do? We're going to move with her, right? So she's looking at it. She's sensing the smell. She's sensing the motion. Sound. She stops and relaxes for 20 seconds. Otherwise, I'm using all my spray gills. Okay, I take it away. She stood still. Do the left, do the right. This way, it's better that way because the wind's going that way. I wasn't going to get it in my face. So then I'm going to do the same thing around her facial area. Now this sometimes takes time. Depends on the horse. Every horse is different. So I'm going to spray it again. She's smelling it. She's hearing it. She's seeing the spray. I'm going to bring it up closer. If she stands still, I'll take it away. If she moves, I'm going with her. I'll do it on this side. Introduce it. Let her smell it. She's probably done like this. Take it away. Approach. Retreat. Spray. Let her see the spray. Hear the spray. Smell the spray. Bring it in closer. If she moves, we're going with her. We're going with her. We're going with her on a loose rein. Going with her. Spraying it, spraying it, spraying it. She wants to move. It doesn't go away. Now she's stopped, looking for a little relaxation, and take it away. Give her some love and tell she's doing good. Do that 2-3 times. Your horse will be good with spray. But do not stop spraying if she's moving. A lot of people stop. And if you stop spraying when they're moving, they're learning that they can get rid of that pressure, which is the bottle and the spray, if they move. So they'll continue to move. You're teaching them to move. It's called negative training. Negative training is when you do something that gives you a negative reaction. So if I spray the bottle like this, and she moves, and I take it away, that's negative training, because I'm teaching her to move. It applies to when you're at the block with a horse and you want to get on the horse and the horse moves. You know, it's the same thing. People hold the reins. They get on the horse and they're holding the reins so the horse doesn't move. Then they get on the horse. The horse starts to walk off, takes 2 steps, you loosen up on the rein and you go. When did you release the pressure? You release the pressure when the horse started to walk off. Then you release the pressure on the reins. You just taught it to walk off. Negative training. Okay, anyway, and this on the loose line too. Okay, I'm sorry to take up more of your time. Have a good day.